Hello, dear Tucker Carlson in Fox News, Species Value Nature System. Tucker, you're making mistakes that every single person is making regarding the value of and the progressive value of, which is regarding the identity of the value of voting and its identity of relationship to itself and to the republic for which we stand. Originally and still abridged, and maintained, self-maintained that way. So voting is being, people have physical delusions about what power is and what might is. And this is with and as a child abuses method that was simultaneously connected against each age of fact-giving nature, each physical difference, against each age of progression nature. From off campuses, knowing what kind of live progressions. This is a mastery recorded and not like reported criminally, interbranch, because of how it has our directors and each of the branches of government with fact-cheap in nature narratives, wire crime roles, evidence crime roles, database crime roles, as victim predators formally made that way. Because formally, all sophistication is only sophistication in relationship to how we are not, and through criminally recorded, criminally foreign influenced, and effectively exploited, unchallenged intersciences and intercampus systems. Before we were the value of these systems, we were the value of a nature of a value/value nature transfer. In that science reveals, but we have the sciences offensively to the maintenance of physical delusions and criminal foreign influences as styles of fact-cheap in nature that can't be defended and us at the same time. They can't stand correlation, simultaneous, inherent, active, and progressive means with free speech, of a quality necessary to free us. Law's nature was originally and is still, before and beyond, the identity of justice standing, and the identity of treatments. In other words, we have all fake passions, all liars, with treatments of fact treatments. With the recorded proofs are their wire crime methods, acts, forging names interbranch, crimes and cases, crimes just using their databases, pretending things are medical too, forging names, all kinds of natures of drug crimes juxtaposed. Per method recording, stacking a whole bunch of names needing to hide their actual motivations, natures. It needs to hide how their roles with investigations from the past had them dishonest with fact treatment natures. So they needed to hide personal misprision and group criminal foreign influences, states and areas, as manifest, originally still suits and ties, counters to it all, roles as identities with criminally re-engineered internation sciences, value of fact treatment nature, value of human identity nature and volume, and nature of value nature transfer, which is while this volume is gaining, which is a trinity, which science reveals. There is an identity that is shared onto and as the value of a finite nature of volume, an active nature of volume, and a progressive nature of volume at once. See, campus dunce with name stolen. Campus Marcius needs name. Behold, of it not because it's stolen. So, with Trinity College recorded and with CCSU recorded from off campuses, they were maintained, motivated to trade center crime roles. With what I got them to record themselves with, which is which I could prove. I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, not criminal, is criminally insidiousness nature roles with pseudo positives, with people from my town with interbranch families who had their kids involved with this crime method against each age of fact sheet nature. Facilitated, this is also opinion natures, originally instilled per a method. That was the crime method our American history is really about. How? What American history, this is how the Burbles book is going to start. American history is about, that's why we're having trying, we're going to start before Halloween or not. That's any of these conversations. We just need a representative from any state. But Hartford and New York are challenged to race each other. Who's going to be first? You know, it can be from any nation too, because it's simultaneously the species coach. Because we're in a value nature system that you can't defend notions of integrity with directed, because they have a theater onto and using other people's names per and as an identity theft method, also recorded as the same minority of people, how you also recorded how motivated to, and as natures non-distinctly hurting intercity, hurting internatures of city through already propagated original and still missed on-off campuses collusion with what was off campuses, then on-off campuses, criminal foreign influence in every modern nation. A method to it where we have all these hundreds of nations shared, manifest ill with fake positive at the Trade Center agreement, other nations equivalents, forced market positions, every modern nation, not let one identity of maturity, identity of legal nature job, capable of defending their fact treatment natures as raised to that job, and also at the same time from what requires a quality of fact treatment nature, demonstrate how this value nature transfer and how our life progression, how our progression each age intercampuses, each age of fact treatment nature, each individual group together and progressively and sequentially and simultaneously, how they were maintained, shown to only let realized nature of integrities needing to hide life progressions by hurting correlation nature, each age of it, even using their own family members. For example, motivated to because how they were facilitated with John Miano, with crimes with Christine Bedard / Christine Tardet, with various natures of fake news crime acts, with two Mendez brothers, two Domain brothers, and Allison Mulcahy. I never had a conversation with my life too. Others told me that she pretended other. I never had a class with her, never was in her presence. And others also said that she pretended that. In other words, they had John Miano also pretended he knew me before I met him, because he used to hang around with Ray Clow and his cousins and friends that I don't know. And the ones I do is only barely, and in context they couldn't be honest about, which is a crime method. They were child abuse, but it's associated with intercampuses, interstate too, like with Paul Zano, Steven Stocco, Maria Vizino, a lot of people involved with CCSU criminally, and with Trinity College. And the way they're insulating this, because this is from off campuses, exploiting what needs to, using the databases of campuses and the sensibilities with that directed to evidence reception crime rules offensive, insidiously from the backgrounds. And see, this was used to facilitate their crime roles with interstate actors involved with proven sequence shift from inside the Trade Center attack context in Manhattan, with the Scalora family, and with that was with the identity thefts directed to them per other people that said that they're relatives of them, and with relatives of a Joe DeMoro and a Ray Clow, extended family members that also with identity thefts, pretend they've met me in the past, had conversations that never were. It's because they hung around with people I never hung around with. And these are all people that each grade I went to, strangers approached me with confessions, demonstrations, and recorded, but they're also recorded hiding this by pretending things are recorded. That's why they won't respond. They need to pretend whatever in the databases so they can say things in the background and use fake news. So they're stacking natures of crime acts, recording per a method, motivating strangers to pretend they know people they don't, with passion crimes and sequence shift roles, identity theft roles. This is non-distinctly and distinctly the same people that are recorded and confessed to involved criminal justice, criminal with the North End of Hartford, associated with CCSU, Maria Vizino, Stephen Stocco, crime roles with Wethersfield Police, forging and switching name into branch with cases, crimes in Connecticut cases already through time. Their crime roles with their evidence reception into branch and private, or juxtaposed with crimes with overt criminal enterprises, a principal sex offender, and more recorded tied to his school that they hid by. They charge people with things like harassment for trying to respond, and they use wire crimes, evidence crimes, mail crimes, forging names into branch, already having done that, crimes and cases, evidence, mistakes on purpose, in collusion, recorded with their crimes with doctors and longtime policing families, interbranch, private, now retired and standing, associated with Sandy Hook and the investigations of that and the fake news crimes with that. And investigators as ones, interagency and foreign police and families juxtaposed on off campuses, especially with criminal justice, acting department at CCSU and the English department, recorded and confessed involved with crimes with the corners of Church Street in Wethersfield, with actors, with male crimes intercity, crimes with Hartford, with drugs with kids, with the child sex offender police forms involved, identity thefts, pretending people got arrested by fake arresting officers, making a whole bunch of fake, pretending they make mistakes on police reports from different towns for fake arrest, because that's what they used to arrest the victim, because they knew that their rape threats were recorded. Their identity theft acts and crimes and cases were recorded. Also with overt criminal enterprises, with people using the name Joey Quest, involved with various natures of real estate crimes with the interbranch families, military, foreign, and domestic, involved intercity through time, and with sequence shifts. The reason I know that is so that when I talk about that, from confessions from strangers that I don't even know the names of. When I was in high school, but they were demonstrated, confessed, and recorded involved with federal crimes at Trinity College, where they stuck identity thefts, me to fake conversations and relationships to people on their campus, while the confessions and demonstrations of tied untimely deaths, one on their campus, and one that brought up the sex offenders and drug cliques, identity theft cliques, that pretended through time they had conversations with me behind my back, because they were being used by what was in grammar school, confessed, recorded, and demonstrated overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed with interbranch. And then in middle school, strangers I barely know demonstrated that further, recorded, confessed, and even from strangers approached me, have an affidavit against a Dillon family, recorded, confessed, involved with the real estate crimes, the child sex offenders and untimely deaths cliques, and other natures of drug crimes, identity theft crime acts. They're also recorded, confessed by people associated with them, involved with crimes with a Leahy family that also stole my identity, pretending I had conversations with them, and with a Lombardo family that I never saw in my area in my life, never had a conversation with in my life, pretend other. and as crime, these are drug clicks with the courts criminally involved, various natures of courts. See the one-way reports, they're not letting things reported from outside into branch. And they're pretending voting means what it doesn't. And this is what American history is about. So we have the states and areas of, and as the pseudo-positive, each age of fact, treatment, nature, and each modern nation incapable of defending that pseudo-positive and or of countering it, the exploitations of it, without being used too by it. Because we're not being allowed to report crime acts. And these crime acts we're also being not allowed to report crime methods. And these crime methods and crime acts are also recorded motivations for the roles of people at the Trade Center who can't pretend other without being reliant upon interbranch crimes that are acted, recorded criminally for them in the databases. They know they have our databases. That's involved with sex crime acts against each age of fact, treatment, nature. Their own interbranch kids used to pretend other. But they're with passion crimes, pretending they hate people, pretending people are criminal because they were raised to spread illusions, to pretend they were in classes or in locations with people or even knowing them at all that weren't. And that this was what the overt criminal enterprises are being used for, to maintain manifest needs for investigations and personal misprision, criminally foreign influenced method, roles, and denials of blaming it on other things, others and on themselves, with and as the convictions and the opinions of the only realized identities of law natures, of service people natures, not by accident, because they knew that this service people, they knew as fact, treatment, nature, value. This is a value that is gaining to us, but it is a value that is gaining positive or negative, and has been negative since semi-ancient times. This just reminds. Our founders left us not to leave ourselves semi-nature free. What really forced both France and America and Germany into the world wars. Per as a method against keeping states and areas of each modern nation recorded effectively maintain criminally foreign influence, juxtaposed, wrought with delusions. Victim predator reactions, each age of fact, treatment, nature. Each difference, each group, keeping that group roles. Because everyone never heard of quality of fact, treatment, nature, and everyone is a victim predator told you don't think you speak about these things in front of kids. That's because we never had the organized crime method that used color. Not by accident, like countered. They not by accident, they need everyone blaming others themselves. That defends and keeps frustrated while staying tortured, progressively needing to blame others themselves. Will provoke everyone to, leave correlation nature from discerning how their pseudoscience juxtapose fake care, torture, hurt, lies, and crime methods upon each urban city of each modern nation at the same time, right through our own. But it's not, but because they're victim predators to spots of pseudo-positive convictions that are abridged Constitution. The most, like they say, the most important thing is voting. If you have mandated law on abridged Constitution enforced, if there's something that is not going to be beneficial always, and so to individuals first in sequence, we can discern that. You see, we have a value nature system, positions, tactically denatured relationship to nature, while we have means. The only reason, as a divided fake freedom. So they have they have capitalism, and they have contrast, communism, fake sides there and here, crime rolls with psychology tied to courts and prisons. Before they were tied to that, there were already crime rolls with areas, intercampuses, as victim predators. That's the only way they were realized. So I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal. The Burroughs book is going to be about American history, and that's how it's going to start. In other words, the most important right is not voting. They're leaving it that way because of how each position, each identity of the law, and of ties to it with area, is a victim predator needing to hide life progressions because of the nature of value nature transfer we're in. Its identity of value nature. You see, that was set up to be exploited. That's so that, in other words, we have people in this is about the identity bigger than any science by itself, bigger than the market positions of any nation. Can't defend themselves, not one modern nation, as the integrity, without valuing fact sheet in nature contrast to other nations simultaneously distinctly hurt by the same thing, to keep all rules as a method effectively keeping all rules, opinionators, reactions, needing to react, need to make a fighting style, a counter style, an indifferent style, or be hurt, because we don't have how the branches were in collusion with areas of all kinds of natures of child abuses, elderly abuses with the same groups, raised criminally foreign influence, because it's there and here. Hundreds of nations shared as what they're maintaining. So they know they're going to be knaves fighting each other at the Trade Center context with left uncharged natures of industry and of fact sheet nature convictions, opinions about market values and things like that. They can't defend in us at the same time, not by accident. That's why they never explained the organized crime, the criminal insidiousness natures. What made that? What motivated that to all to ignore our nature's actual course? In other words, how we are all, our nature has a nature that these value nature systems are our tactical ulterior from. It's not the money itself. It's not power. It's not the things that are only let opinions spoke through ages, not by accident. Because each position of theater, especially real theater, because that then defended for business, whatever, that value nature system, tactically ulterior from realities. We're talking about really what black and white are about, why they're parallel. Value nature discernment, simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly, with how we also share distinctly colored eyes. Value, positive, the difference between positive or negative value nature is the ability to discern and to enable its identity of value to gain here, to gain its volume here, which is an identity that is doing it only simultaneously. When it's not let be simultaneously, that's forced from here as a relationship to the identity that is coming a little bit more into temporary space, lasting space nature, that will only stay one complete relationship to itself. There is no such thing as negative value nature. Where 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 or positive value nature that can be discerned in relationship to each other. They can be discerned only in relationship to the Trinity, which is their volume, Alpha and Omega's volume, and a little bit more of volume inseparable from that. But not by our cause, as an identity inseparable from and as the order before, while being the smallest identity of value in our body, simultaneously while being the identity of our active body of value discernment, invisible but still discernible metaphysically. Also identity, because identity is bigger than metaphysics. Identity is a hierarchy, tactically obfuscated, interscience since semi-ancient times. It just reminds. So we'll examine again the 5 parts of history and why we have to see that. This is how the mind works. This is about the identity of correlation. See, we have, I'm not the liar, the doctor, police form. We have doctors of psychology originally and still uncharged with systemic organized crime and roles with it. Crime methods recorded. Physical delusion propagation roles recorded. Crime roles distinctly and non-distinctly, sickly distinctly hurting each city, intercity, the same minority of people. To hide how non-distinctly. And this is with Russians criminally involved with them too. With our Trade Center investigators and agencies, worse than criminal incompetence roles with crime acts with Connecticut interbranch actors, their state prison offices, houses next to it. The state judicial branch offices, houses next to it. Intercampuses cliques through time. Raised criminally foreign influences with vetting bodies and systems used for offensive evidence reception crimes, illusions, pretended, fake things pretended recorded, forging names, switching names, spreading rumors in conjunction with that, with stuff being stuck in databases, forcing fake sides of news, identity theft crime acts of multiple forms and natures, medical crime acts against kids, also by the news, therefore, with that. By Foxct, WFSB, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, criminally involved with Wethersfield Parks and Schools further, with more than the worst than the principal sex offender recorded, that they also crime acts roles preventing that forced him first, with the rest of them, also recorded. Also with interbranch women that forced it. Fake passions recorded, background crime roles with crime acts, interbranch police, foreign and domestic military, associated on-off CCSU crimes, other campuses, deans forging names, switching names, crimes with their family members involved. All strangers, this is what they're using confessions for, outside of the church. The church with confessions, this is about, in other words, we don't have freedom of religion. We don't have freedom of speech. We have offensive physical delusions. Background peoples keeping the sense, but they're lying to family members. They're attaching family members to fake conversations. We know we have interbranch actors leaders recorded conscious that they don't have integrity, reliant upon consciously as victims, but as victim predators, reliant upon criminally foreign influenced precedents, means distribution, justifications of it. That's reliant upon fake hate, fake passions, fake care for titles. Because this knew that, I'm not saying that each position of service is not a gaining value. I'm saying where it is an identity of value, Our American history is about how where they're criminally foreign influence. So this doesn't conform with the sensibilities of the branches each. They can't defend themselves and their convictions and fact-shaping natures originally still in the face of correlation nature simultaneously in inherent active and progressive means, which is the identity of everything before, while being, and a little bit beyond this more and more. Not just as a value nature transfer, but as the value, as the identity of the value that is filling our volume. Even if we're losing weight each day, we're simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature relationship to the complete identity of values, identity of relationship to itself, as us with its temporary, with lasting decisions. But through and as a value nature system that these were conformed to keep us from being the quality of fact-shaping nature, free speech, and unabridged rights quality needed to liberate that. American history is about this organized crime method. American history is about all the lies that are offensive evidence perception crimes and crime roles and methods and motivations of it, like people pretending voting means what it doesn't, especially at areas and states levels, because this is what's keeping they're forcing. They know they're liars. They know there's worse than Russian spy den, but there's a whole bunch, and it's against Russians too, because with psychology, especially with those police, physical delusions originally still. They're forging names, all kinds of drug crime roles. You want to know why the problem is there? Because they're using the theater with the concept of drug problems, but they have the fun. They're exploiting the phenomenon of how you're not supposed to speak medical information. So there's like a whole. Everyone was raised, states and areas, in collusion with the peak sophistication, criminally foreign influence, and used his influences, exploited by his roles with recorded crime acts and crime roles with federal criminals that were his co-defendants in a 2000 part of a case in 2006/S cases that were ongoing, or part of it was ongoing at the time of my father's death. Also, the Leahy family recorded and confessed with crime roles with agencies. Fake conversations with me about agencies. They have conspiracy theories that they forge names and pretend conversations and spread rumors with interbranch drug cliques. Also with crimes, overt drugs and the doctor drugs criminally with them. The same people that you could only go to, in other words, are being forced to be experts criminally. In other words, we need to be able to report things, force mandated law, force freedom of speech, tortured, not just prevented, on each city distinctly and non-distinctly, to keep interbranch private, on-off campuses in collusion, victim-predator roles. I'm not saying everyone's not a victim. I'm saying everyone's a victim-predator. I shouldn't have to pretend, they have people interbranch pretending things in the background that they couldn't pretend in paper because they were invested by state juxtaposed manifest needs for real investigations by and as what was also juxtaposed roles furthering that, exploiting it, investing it long-term state, overt criminal enterprises used categorically, sequentially, originally and still for the same natures of crimes rules, with other natures of crime not even let charged, because we have the branches associated with them. We have fake news crime acts associated with them. We have fake news crime roles with the agencies, pretending to be against election crimes but as them, used for them. We have them recorded pretending that passion crimes, pretended hate, to pretend integrity. They are recorded knowing they don't have. And they're recorded reliant upon background conversations about that are required, about like identities of reactions to Russia in America, with all kinds of psychology rackets there and here, and with prisons, intersystem, intersciences, physical delusions, conspiracy theories that are being used criminally with the criminal justice system as our nations shared to agreed to share it, and with a whole bunch of other nations criminally involved with areas crimes, and them using such insidiously to hide it. Pakistani doctors, interbranch police, Dillon family, people tied, a whole bunch of people tied to them, and judges of various natures, courts, their extended family members, their immediate family members, people with their courts, criminally foreign influence. Everyone speaking through others, all liars. All people that they're invested already pretending other. Oh, these are good people, these aren't. We have criminally foreign influence. We have crime methods recorded using the counters to criminal justice corruption, the extent of it recorded. The counters also being used to further it. Fake counters, influence counters, the torture, that every freedom of the surface value of the Constitution is abridged. They're worse than torture, worse than cruel, unjust punishment, even against kids. Tied to recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crime methods and actors associated with Washington, D.C., associated with Chris Walter's family, with the campuses, with on and off campuses, inter-campuses, cliques raised criminally foreign influence by acts and roles with crime methods missed. So and now as adults, roles with that used for Joshua Julian. I never had anything to do with my life. He's recorded, confessed, involved with crimes with interbranch sex crime acts, recorded, even using their Facebook pages, and then hiding that with crime acts and cases, with crime acts interbranch, forging names, switching names, pretending people, switching sequences. This is tied to a proven sequence shift in the Trade Center attack context with the same interstate, interbranch, and criminal justice cliques, like with the Joe Aiello, a Joe DeMauro, Mike Kerr, with girls I don't even know the name of, tied to a Heather Hansen, who they all shared. Also, they said confessions about their crime uses, demonstrations of their criminal uses of Trade Center victim families before, because they were associated with the Trade Center, and then in the context and since criminally, because they have and then there's no way, in other words, we don't have any police, we don't have any men and women of integrity. So the men pretend they're men by using gun crimes with facilitated roles for them, cover-ups of that. Also, my new and previous neighbors, intercity, involved with New Britain, Weathersfield interbranch crime acts, intercity crime acts, also with Hartford, with crimes with databases, and with this Dillon family, and with child offender acts of juxtaposed natures, and with women interbranch, including judges. See, that needs to be allowed reported. They're making sequence shifts, and they're making pretended recorded things into databases, identity theft crime acts, forging names crime acts, fake arresting or officers crime acts from multiple different departments, all used to hide crime acts and crime methods recorded intercampus, recorded tied to as the same distinct, sickly distinct to hide the same recorded non-distinct causes of all the shootings in Hartford and other cities, and tied to the pattern that has blue trails and Sandy Hook and the Kerr family and the Morrow family recorded and confessed involved with crimes with prison cliques, with CCSU on off campus with them, and with that spot around with the serial killer. Real or fake? If they made up that story about the serial killer with the rest of the fake news, that person in the article already recorded and confessed involved with them with federal crimes, child abuses of juxtaposed natures. Justin Klavinskis and his wife Lucinda and their kid recorded, confessed, demonstrated, criminally involved with that. Foreign and domestic, with leasing agents criminally involved. With a Phil Collo that a Bob Chase recorded and confessed, and with others in my family. He was involved, pretending he had conversations with me, pretending he was a friend with me when I was a kid. He was recorded and confessed involved with identity thefts, database crimes acts, people that attacked me that I don't know the names of still, and some of them I do, but that was for sequence shifts, because there was people, they do things that people like it not, but because they're to do whatever they have to keep the sequence of the interbranch and private tied to that already standing lie progression cover-up natures, fake positive, maintained in collusion with that only let realized, roles to that, per methods, maintaining this self-cultivated, covered up, blamed on other things, others, and selves. That keeps their own motivations and nature's roles preventing hurt, motivated to needing to hurt and to steal the identities and the rights and the health and the safety of people that are asking mandated law stolen in our faces to be fixed. Those are trade center crime rolls. Those are crimes with Wethersfield town offices. Those are crimes with the agencies recorded, with their family members. Those are crimes with doctors, foreign and domestic, with kids, with mobile gas stations recorded, confessed, demonstrated through time. Now involved with child sex offenders. That's why I'm referring to people in the past criminally involved with it then too. Like Eric Jensen recorded and confessed involved criminally with state police and other police forms involved with them criminally and their family members. They also have criminal uses of my extended family members with state police associated with that, and with military families associated with that. People that I only know from brief context, and though they put them in my class, recorded and confessed involved with crimes with the town offices, interbranch, further child sex offenders cliques, interbranch police too, because they have crime acts that motivated this since before the Trade Center attack, that wouldn't let reported in the context that was proven and are further recorded, and since with CCSU, with on off campuses crime acts with them, with families high ranking, with the training of police forms like private, with prisons, juxtaposed crimes with overt criminal enterprises, with crimes as crime roles in cases, as crime roles with medical corruption, juxtaposed with overt child sex offender crime acts, uses of their campuses, and online policing when they were still forcing it sustained. The doctor's patient now, no. And all that hid from the Sandy Hook investigations. Because we have various natures of courts already invested criminally foreign influence, originally and still. Same time, we have various natures interbranch police. The police chief's immediate and extended family recorded, confessed, involved with their identity theft crime acts, uses of inter-online platforms, extortion crime acts, mail crime acts roles, wire crime acts roles. I had no idea my new past neighbors had crime, were tied to Covington Street and on-off CCSU crime acts that I was trying to report at the time. Otherwise, would have reported it. I didn't know they were associated with that area at the time. And before I went to that area, it was reported from strangers, confessed to me that and how that was involved criminally. And I didn't know them. See, these are people that were also into branch cliques, prison cliques, with all kinds of natures of crimes, with each age of fact treatment nature. Like a Subway Bajario, also reported, confessed with girls I don't know, with identity thefts, evidence perception crimes. See, they ask people like that questions, they're going to lie, then they have to pretend that they didn't realize. Because they're having everybody speak through other. They can't, into context kept where no one could go back and then be true. They're using confessions for that. And that's tied to why the church uses confessions other. It's demonstrable. It's tied to why and how simultaneously predicate acts are simultaneously inherently negative, active negative, and progressive negative. Relationship to identity's value. And value progressive as a progressive value. This is simultaneously why the predicate is simultaneously inherently, actively, and progressively positive to identity of value progression. And value of identity of value progression. So I don't care if there's someone this could not be interesting to people or not. But that's because they're opinion natures that are criminally foreign influenced. Crime rolls against each position of fact treatment nature. Regarding the position of the president, too. / chief. No. Distinctly, non-distinctly. Not let free speech forced to pretend that everyone has integrity that they don't at once. As sequence, not only as sequence nature cover, but as a simultaneous nature. Sequence nature is value with all the simultaneous natures at once, so we could see the value that is shared by all values at once, and the value of its relationship to itself that is positive or negative as us, but per a value nature system that is tactically ulterior for markets. So what is mature and what is educated relationship to markets and math and measuring and reading about insights into that is tactically ulterior from correlation natures, morality and obligations. And there are many proofs that voting is not the most important right. Mandated law. The right to report and demonstrated mandated law and constitution abridged is the most important right. We'll examine what motivated the branches to collusion with roles, with juxtaposed more than 99% of the crime causes roles, with color used against everyone. In other words, we'll examine how, you could be from the suburbs, where the same nature of volume, so you could see how it's the same thing. But your experiences are going to be influenced by sensibilities with those fake positives that are not only just fake positives naturally, and that are being exploited per crime methods, whole crime methods, acts not let reported. So we have no integrity in Connecticut. We need federal stewardship of this state. You can't have an election now. And we need the rest of them out of involved with the Russians that they're ducking behind, they involve with the crimes with the Leahy family, and with various natures of courts involved criminally with them, with their crime acts and their identity thefts and their recorded physical delusions note, and with more sex offenders recorded tied to the schools, and medical ones, more medical crime acts with the fake news crime acts. They're also recorded sickly, pretending not they don't understand that. They know they have mandate crimes, worse than mandate crimes. Preventing the using Facebook also for sex crime acts roles, identity theft crime acts roles, spreading lies with criminal enterprises through kids roles. This is really what was facilitating the overt criminal enterprises, and maintaining all cultivated, self-cultivated, to other motivations, natures, needs, and roles to react to what's only letting formal collusion with overt criminal enterprise collusion, and with unrealized natures of ones and private ones, and all that shared sick. So we'll examine also Foxct has roles with Los Solitos, recorded, confessed, involved with them criminally with the area around Hartford Hospital, and with their fake news crime acts, and with the area around Foxct, and with their private police in the building criminally involved. If they want, all they have to do is fix their fake news crime acts and crime roles with WFSB, and with other natures of media criminally involved, and with recorded evidence reception crime acts roles, and criminal uses of the companies involved with their ads, like an ILO family, recorded, confessed, involved with the police criminally with the uses of Facebook for sex crime acts and harassment, sequence shifts, and evidence crime methods where they charge others for harassment as sequence shifts, as wire crime roles, as forging name crime roles, as switching name crime roles, as crime acts in cases, and criminal uses of their databases through time, crime acts further. When they try to deny this, there are also crime acts roles with the fake news crime acts they used. Lies to people they told in the past, and then they needed the fake news identity theft crime acts of various natures in their little articles. They're also with crime acts with fake YouTube pages pretending to be me, and women that they didn't let, that they're recorded sexually abusing, drug abusing, abusing for roles, influencing to roles with evidence reception crimes with WTNH, other various natures of media, police, private, and their interbranch sources criminally involved. These are also Connecticut interbranch families associated with criminality, with criminal justice, and with the training of that interstate and internation juxtaposed. Also, I don't know if with the territory of Puerto Rico, they're also recorded criminally involved with exploiting, playing fake care for fact treatment nature, quality. For example, even with if they're a state or if they're a territory, stuff like that. And because they know simultaneously too, Mexican criminal justice systems and jobs and on and off campuses training of police are also criminally involved. Hospitals criminally involved. All kinds of natures of drug crimes that are with doctors of psychology with badges, interbranch, intercampuses with systems that are exploiting how these systems are manifest value as a value nature transfer relationship that science is really about. See, we're going to have to address the physical delusions of each of the sciences, including the law. This requires us to be able to force mandated law, true, especially with sick prisons and of each age, even against kids, used for their offensive evidence reception crime rules as other natures of crimes missed. Please, also with Dean Alford and or someone that used his name as recorded and confessed by many others with crimes with off-campuses police forms, and with families stayed on and off Trinity College, criminally involved with various natures of courts criminally involved, like probate courts, Connecticut District Court, and Superior Court in Hartford and New Britain, with their police forms with crime acts roles, intercampuses, and on and off them since before the Trade Center attack and since. And as crime acts roles and crime methods recorded preventing people from reporting crime acts, them recording, spreading rumors about people, pretending they have conversations with people, pretending they have integrity when they have physical delusions, pretending other people can't speak, tied to a crime method that is sustaining offensive evidence perception influences through interbranch maintained originally and still criminally foreign influence. So we'll examine also mobiles recorded and confessed involved with crimes of Pakistani families, with also intercity larceny acts and crimes breaking into houses and stuff, with the police forms involved criminally with interbranch police with Wethersfield, and with Wethersfield, New Britain tied, proven or recorded and further recorded and confessed and demonstrated crimes with breaking into houses, keeping everyone, they're using the systems to keep value nature transfer rackets, correlation, value sabotage rackets and roles, maintain self-cultivated, maintained by the breaching method that motivated all to prevent anybody of correlation nature originally and still from demonstrating how voting is not the most important right. The Constitution unabridged, and the ability to tell about this entrenched here since before our founders' births, that they left us to free speech to demonstrate. See, not only do they have these crimes, they have the needs to hide the live aggressions, and they have crime roles with psychology, especially with that, in other nations and here, because of the way they have the laws originally still criminally foreign influence there and here. Physical delusions wrought, intersciences. So of a nature child abuse that told them to pretend they have integrity. They have no integrity. Look at a city. Correlation, nature, science, they never spoke for it. Look at suburbs even. Tactically denatured relationship to nature since before our founders' births, since before cars forced. Nature of pathology, nature of relationship to nature, tactically denatured. It's no joke. Call through clear smoke, criminal insidiousness nature. Yeah. It means a bit. Santa Claus will soon be read right here. So you heard it first. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Anthony Wall, youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. In Foxct, I can help you guys out of this. I can show you guys how to be real news, not just criminally foreign influenced value nature system posers. I can show you guys how not to be criminals, pretending other, not to be criminal insidiousness natures. Fix the fake news crime acts of WFSB. Report on them too, and let's go with the two Mendez brothers. And with the main brothers, recorded, confessed, involved with database crimes since I was a kid. Identity theft crime acts, crimes in cases, database illusion stacking. Let's go. Who's this Allison Mulcahy? I never had a conversation with her in life. Other was also one of the people involved with the fake news crime acts and actors, male and female, John Mayano and his brothers and family recorded, confessed, involved with crimes with also like with a Ray Claw with intercity police departments and the and chiefs and their through time, and criminal justice clicks, drug clicks connected also to placements in drug stores used criminally, policing of the stores used criminally. Let's go, because I don't like the rape threats into branch that they also hate criminally, and the Phil Club, and the two Mendez police, and a DeMoro family police, and a Kerr family police also recorded and confessed involved with all kinds of natures of abuses of girls in my family and other family because their roles with overt criminal enterprises. And they didn't even go to my school with intercity, interpolice, in other words, they also said that they also demonstrated, recorded, confessed that a school with nuns was criminally involved with them, and with the Eric Jensen criminally involved with people that lied to Denny Terrell about me, recorded now, confessed, and recorded involved, still criminally involved with criminal justice people involved with sex offenders to use to cover their live aggressions, because they're using courts and cases, interbranch forging names, drug crime rolls, live aggressions with investigations originally still to keep them motivated, criminally foreign influence states and areas. This is religious, interreligious spots criminally uses. Jewish JCC places or something like that. Some place with a, the alternatives to prison. They also have criminally involved with the prison rackets and the courts criminally involved interbranch with the databases and with the drugs, with their cliques. Fake integrity natures. This is also further, untimely deaths. Even and especially if the untimely death on Trinity College was made up, is recorded and confessed, tied to other ones used criminally for other natures of crimes, including the one with sex offenders. See, by doing that and making confessions from strangers intercity, they prevent me from countering the juxtaposed natures of federal crime acts and fake conversations. They put me in with a bunch of girls with the name Alicia that share that interstate, criminally involved with New York and Hartford and New Britain and intercity. Rocky Hill involved with the criminally with other I don't even know the girl's named Alicia, and the people that I know through confessions where they're involved with the crimes with the courts, because they had criminal uses through time of on and off campuses, CCSU, training of policing and stuff like that, training of police forms on and off campuses and systems, shared juxtaposed policed, and policing of originally and still uncharged natures of industries and of fact treatment nature with that and value nature system, criminally foreign influence used to maintain that breaching screen motivated, fake patriotism roles, originally still pretending other. That needs to pretend it doesn't realize such by sharing needs, roles, and natures, forcing the theater fake, dishonest, pretending to believe that voting means what it doesn't. In other words, all we need is mandated course. Then we're the nature true always, not exploiting exceptions. We'll examine, plus we can't tell about the organized crime that use color for that against each person. We'll examine how. Not with opinions, but what is true always and not ignoring exceptions. And what has been preventing that because of science's recorded victim predator influences and physical delusions juxtaposed. That needs to pretend integrity and who's good and bad, and hold sensibilities as a weapon with fact treatments, with sequence treatments. So I don't have the where I heard the conversation about it, but Tucker, check your sequence treatments about with your convictions about voting, because you're smarter than that. Everyone is, and everyone's making the same mistake because everyone only had theater talk to them, each age of fact treatment nature, and they missed what was his on and off campuses, forcing their, which is forcing worse, not just sex crime acts on the kids by women interbranch, which is recorded, because then their motivations, natures, and roles are making other lies and other natures of positions and crime acts roles where they're preventing in court and out of court confessions and crime acts and demonstrations from being reported. And they use the time where they have confessions and then they name, forge, and switch to then pretend they didn't realize that. And that time was being used to pretend I said things, which I didn't say at all. In other words, they're preventing people the right to be presumed innocent. Presumed innocent. They're presuming people are guilty dishonestly because they're pretending things are recorded. They're setting people up. We have criminally foreign influence. We have the federal stewardship of Connecticut. Please fix the fake news crime acts in collusion with them. Also their family members. I'm not saying they're not victim predators. They're victim predators. They're complete predators, though. Please fix the fake news crime acts and criminal uses of the online platforms and of their sensibilities, also recorded.